Welcome to the Business and Brews podcast, where our mission is to highlight local businesses in the Triangle area and shed light on different industries.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Business and Brews show. My name is Ryan Smelt, and Gevin unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening, but I told him I would give him a shout out. So if you would go ahead and shoot Gevin a little message or give him some props in the comments below. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing Miss Kim.
Thank you.
Kim, if you would tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
No, thank you so much for having me. My name is Kim LeMaster. Everybody calls me Ms. Kim because I've been a teacher and a nanny and a tutor for upwards of 20 years now. And so I run a parent coaching business where I teach parents all the how-tos of what they need to do to get their kids to be good human beings,
Nice.
which we know a lot of kids are not right lately. So that's it is a great business. I love working with families. I love working with kids. And so it just seemed to be a really good fit for me. Nice.
Yeah. That's perfect. So how's your week been so far?
It has been a fantastic week. I know we'll get a chance to talk about it. I've been doing some volunteer work that's been really on my heart. So it's been a great week. It's been good. What about you?
Absolutely. So we just had a cookout this afternoon over in Durham. So that was pretty fun. And just working, kind of working to get set up here. We got our new studio.
Looks great. I know this was really exciting. I appreciated some insight and learned some stuff for myself, for my own business. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Looks great in here.
So today, I know you were curious, so we'll talk about it. This is the First Squeeze American Wheat Ale by Raleigh Brewing Company.
Nice. Cheers.
Absolutely. It is Business and Brews, so stay true to our name, I suppose. Before we get started, I just want to touch a little bit. So some people probably see some things in the background or on the table. These are either people who are supporting our show or have been on the show and have paraphernalia. So if you have any questions about some of the Munjo or the David Geig art in the background, then feel free to leave a comment and I'll be happy to put the links in there for you.
Nice.
But Miss Kim, I wouldn't mind if you're ready for it, just jump right in and get started.
Absolutely. Miss Kim Talks is the name of my business, and it's somewhere you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and I've been on Pinterest. Miss Kim Talks is something that kind of came about as an opportunity for me to take a lifetime of experience. I have two grown kids myself that are 20 and 19. Both work full-time jobs, are amazing. You know, they work at the church. They just are amazing human beings. And our job is to raise kids to be better humans than we ever were. And I think that because of all the experience in a classroom, I've taught pre-K, I've taught K-5, I've tutored up to 5th and 6th grade, and nannied for a family for many years. And so it just gave me an opportunity to put what I already knew and make it into a business. Yeah. And so now that's what I do. I work with families and I sit down with them, go over what are some of those really downward spiral things that happen in our week. A lot of times I would say like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. are the most difficult hours of the day for any family. Getting out the door to go to school or work, and then the after dinner, getting everybody to bed. And that is supposed to be, you know, for most of us, that's our only family time that we get. Mm-hmm. And so I hear families all the time, they're like, I can't stand that I'm always yelling at my kids, let's go. Where are your shoes? Where's your homework? Why did you get this out? And they're like, that's the only memories that my kids are going to have of me. Yeah. And it's so true. Like, we look back, I don't know about when you were a kid, but I remember my mom standing at the door and being like, I'm leaving in 4 minutes, and if you're not in the car, I'm leaving. I was like, I can't stand hearing it anymore. But luckily, it's something that we can fix. And there are just little things that we can do that can really help things to be more smooth in our routine. And this really, you don't even have to have kids for some of this to work. You know, I have one program that's called Speak How They Hear. And it's because a lot of times we want to talk how we perceive the conversation, but sometimes we have to stop and think, how does the other person hear it?
Yeah.
You know, we talk to our boss one way, we talk to our kids one way, we talk to our spouse one way. And that program in particular teaches about being very clear with your expectations, clear with what you're sharing, being very confident in what you have to share, and then being consistent. Because that's where most parents crash and burn, right? If you do this again, you're going to be grounded forever. Nobody's ever grounded forever. None of us have ever been grounded forever. Otherwise, I would still be grounded from when I did something wrong in 8th grade. So it's about being consistent. And that's what I teach parents to do. And so I have different programs like, no more bedtime battles. Because if anybody's ever had to put to bed a 2, 3, 4-year-old or even up to, even teenagers, getting them to get to bed because they need rest, can be really challenging. And you're tired from the end of the day. You've been working all day and you walk in the door and you've got that chaos. And there are things that we can do to really put the parent back in charge.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we need. And again, I like to also show like how it doesn't have to all be about parenting, right? Some of us need to be in charge of our lives, right? We let circumstances around us control what's going on, but ultimately we're in charge. And when you're running your own business, because that's what our focus is here, you have to be in charge and you have to have ownership of what you're doing, what your business is going to be, what you're going to do on a daily basis. And if you're just kind of, flying by the seat of your pants, well, you're not going to be successful, know. And if you are, it's haphazard at best. Yeah. And so those are kind of the main things that I work with. A lot of fun, creative, discipline things. I've talked to a lot of parents, like one of the things I do is, if they won't go to bed, okay, well, you can stand up then here in the middle of your room. And that's it. You can stay up as long as you want. Go for it. Stay up as long as you want. No talking. Nope. No dancing. Nope. No kneeling. Nope. Just stand there. And anybody that's had to stand for any amount of time, you're like, yeah, this is not really fun anymore. I also had them write paragraphs, about things that they've done wrong. Okay, well, write down what you should have done, what I asked you to do, and then give me 3 details, and they're like, whoa, I don't want to do all this. I'm like, well, then you should have just picked up your room in the first place, right? So I have kind of some fun, creative ways to get people to really kind of take matters back into their own hands and not letting kids run their house. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I work with the most.
That's pretty cool. So I heard you talk a little bit about kind of how you got started and why you got started. And basically the 2 primary things you offer, which kind of sounds like parenting and wellness. So, taking care of your kids or being in charge of yourself. Yeah. What would you say, like, if you had to think back on lessons learned, good, bad, or ugly, what would you say some lessons that you learned in developing this experience and how did they turn out? Yeah,
great question, because I hear that a lot. They're like, oh, Miss Kim, you act like you're so perfect. What I have made more than my share of parenting mistakes. One in particular that I can recall involved me at the food court in Crabtree Valley Mall with my 2 teenagers. And we were just having a nice lunch, right? And I was like, hey guys, let's do a quick selfie. Here, everybody just smile. And they were both like, we don't want to do a picture. I'm like, what do you mean I want to do it? Come on, let's just do a quick selfie. Everybody, like, I just want to show, like, Miss Kim's at lunch with her kids. And they were like, we don't really want to do it. And for some reason, that day, that moment, I completely lost. And I stood up in the middle of the food court and made a complete fool of myself, yelling at my kids. Oh, so you don't want to be on a picture? You want to be on your phones all the time? You're staring at your phones. We got to have the picture done 12 times by now. Completely lost it. And then went storming out of the mall, got in the car, and my kids are getting in the car, and they're like, what just happened? But so we all make those kind of mistakes. But the greatest lesson that I've taught my kids is that there's going to be one of 2 things that's going to always happen with me. I'm going to apologize one of 2 ways. Number one, you know what? That was completely over the top, inexcusable. I don't know why I lost it, and I'm really sorry. And the other is, you know what? I asked you to do it, and you didn't do it, and I was mad, and that's it. So I always tell my kids it's going to be one or the other, but I have learned to apologize to my kids because we're not perfect. No parent's perfect, right? No employee's perfect. No spouse is perfect. You have to be humble and apologize, call a spade a spade. I did a terrible job today, right? And my kids still laugh about it. I don't have too many irrational moments, but when I do, I apparently go full on. So whoever was in the food court at Crabtree Valley Mall about a year ago, that was me there, trying to get my teenagers to take selfie with their mom. So, we all have to learn our lesson. And I've been there, my kids are always 17 months apart. Yeah. So having two little people and you're in the grocery store and they're throwing things in the cart and you're in a hurry and, we all say things and do things we're not supposed to. And unfortunately, sometimes our kids repeat those things. And I've had a lot of parents that are like, Miss Kim, so-and-so said to me, some foul words, and they totally got it from me. How do I fix that? And so I work with parents on those kind of things. But I think owning up to your mistakes is number one in parenting, and being able to say, look, you know what? I should have done this way, and teach them the right way to do it. See, a lot of times we just say, no, that's it. What I say happens, and, there's no... You have to actually teach them how to do it because that's where they're learning. Yeah. They're learning from us.
Definitely. So. That's a good story. I like how, you screwed up. There's, just lost it, and then you apologized, and there was a lesson learned on everybody's part there. Yeah. So that's definitely good. So you've been doing your business for a little while now. So you coach people on parenting and their own personal growth and development. Mm-hmm. What are some challenges that you're facing currently in your business?
Oh, wow. I would say that in my particular industry, one issue industry-wise is that people don't always like to admit that they're not doing a good job parenting, right? It seems like such a negative thing. Oh, it's kind of taboo. No, my kids don't listen, but every kid doesn't listen, And so getting people to feel really comfortable in being able to say, like, I own it, I need help, right? And because we all do. And industry-wise, as a business owner, I think the most important thing to me in the things that I'm struggling with right now is, building that clientele and really being able to have the technology in place and the social media and things like that. It can really be overwhelming. And so one of my biggest tips for anybody that I work with and some of my business partners is I tell them, like, you have to go all in. You have to just own what you're going to do and go all in. If you're treating it like a hobby, it's going to only be a hobby. If you treat it like a business, you can make it a business. And, my dad told me the same thing. I'm sure other parents have said, find something that you love and then find a way to make money doing it. And so I found something that I loved, which was helping families, which was working with children, teaching, and I found a way to make money doing it. And the benefit that families get from it is so tremendous. It's what drives me. And so I think that when you can really spend a lot of time educating yourself on, like I said, on the technology, on the social media, those are things that are driving small businesses right now. It is, you can do some, word of mouth and referrals and things like that, but we've seen how social media can catapult small businesses. Yeah. And that's where my focus has been over the last year, is learning about the algorithms and things like that we all struggle with on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And really learning about who your audience is, what kind of content are they wanting, and then providing that. Yeah. And even if it's not, necessarily not necessarily what you would normally share, but what does your audience need to hear? What do the people you're working with need to hear? What are they responding to best? Yeah. And that's the kind of content that we have to be providing. So it takes some research and paying attention and a lot of educating yourself and just kind of being humble about it. and not just putting out your own agenda, but really realizing like what is the consumer wanting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's interesting, because a lot of what you talked about reminds me of this time me and one of our marketing directors were talking about, what's working and what's not working, and come to find out that we just didn't center our focus on our customer avatar.
Yes.
So we weren't doing what you just said that we should have been doing.
You really have to sit down and say, okay, who is my ideal customer? And really build that avatar. I had a coach when I first started that really laid out with me, okay, I need to know, what is her name? What is her age range? What is her job? Like really every single detail about that avatar, and knowing that that's my customer and I'm going to drive most of my business and content to that person. And so that's what I've done. And it's been really successful, because when you go into it just kind of haphazardly and you throw a whole bunch of content and see what sticks, I just find that you're going to waste a lot of time, a lot of time and a lot of energy, and not get the results that you're looking for. And so that's, I think, the avatar, really focusing on who is your ideal client and what are your customers wanting to consume from you? Yeah. What are they wanting to hear from you?
Definitely.
And focusing on that.
I think that's good advice for anybody.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit before, and one of my favorite questions about the lesson. So you talked a little bit about one of your failures, but I don't think I would mind hearing a little bit about some successes that you've had.
All right.
And maybe how you've used whatever those successes were with you to implement into your business and your coaching.
Absolutely. There's one situation that I can recall with a family that I worked with, where the mom called me and said, we have got like DEFCON 4 happening here at night. Every night it's full-blown chaos. And, it was stressing the marriage. It was stressing the kids. It was just the whole house in general, to where the parents didn't even want to come home at night because they're like, I don't want to go through that. And so she called me and we talked for a little bit. And then, I kind of went over some stuff with her on the phone, and then I went to their home. And I spent, I said, well, let's sit down. I just want to kind of observe what's going on and see how things are going. And then I'll just kind of slowly weave my Miss Kim magic in there.
Right.
I was seated for about a minute and a half before the 4-year-old was standing on the loft balcony, holding toys over to chuck them down at us, like full force. And I said, okay, intro's over. Miss Kim has started. And I just popped right in, and I went right up those stairs, and I said, this is unacceptable. I'm going to put this toy away. I tried to put it on the top shelf. He then went to climb the shelf, and I was like, nope, we're not doing that. And the key was the whole time is I had to remain calm. You cannot let your emotions take over. It is one of the hardest things to do as a parent, because we're angry, we're frustrated, we're this, we're that. And so not letting our emotions take over. So I brought him down from the shelf, and then he went to climb it up again. I brought him down from the shelf again, and I just kept redirecting. No, I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. No, I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. Okay, so then we're going to remove all these toys that are here. And then we went the next step and started removing the toys, and he kept going back. I mean, he was not going to let up. And it took 45 minutes of me continuously at the same tone of voice. We're not doing that now. I'm removing this toy. We're not doing this now. I'm removing this toy. Over again, until he got sick of me saying it. And he was like, oh my gosh, stop saying that. I said, then stop doing it. And all of a sudden it kind of clicked with him, like, oh, maybe I'm a little more in control of the situation than I thought I was, right? And whenever I get where I'm frustrated with my business, or frustrated with my kids, or frustrated with life in general, I think about that 45 minutes. I've sat with an 18-month-old who I nannied for many years. And so obviously the result of the story went well. But at the time, it was torture, because I just wanted her to eat just the tiniest bit of a blackberry. I just wanted her to just try the blackberry. She refused. She was throwing everything off the tray and whatever. And I was like, listen, it's go time, right? It's you and me, and we're here, and you're trying that, right? And her mom happened to work from home. And so her mom is in her office, and she's texting me frantically. I don't know if I can handle this. How are you staying so calm? Whatever. She's screaming. I said, I know, but we're staying here. We're going to stay here. That one took well over an hour and 15 minutes before we resolved that problem, but she ate that blackberry. But at that point, I had made the point to her, this is who I am. This is what we're doing. I didn't have to yell or scream at you. I didn't have to go hysterical, but I just kept redirecting you back to, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Now that child is 6 and we're the bestest of friends, we're like thick as thieves. I love it. But you know, every time I get frustrated with life, with business, with whatever, I think about how when I'm in those situations, I turn on something that makes me go level. And I just have to stay at it and stay at it and stay at it. And when we are building businesses, right, it's very tempting to become emotional about stuff. Right. Frustrating with clients, frustrated with marketing, frustrated with finances, whatever. And I just have to keep reminding myself that staying steady is the most productive way, because I'm showing that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay consistent, and I'm going to make this successful. I tell my kids every single day, Miss Kim Talks will be household. It will be household name. It will be. I tell them that every single day to remind them and myself, right? because I have to stay level. And it is one of the most difficult but necessary things when you are working with kids, working with animals, working with wherever, you know? We have to stay consistent. And so I think that it's probably one of the most valuable lessons I've learned that I've been able to then transfer with my own kids. The rule in my house is you can say anything you have to say as long as you say it in love. And that means respectful tone, no storming out, and no foul words or name calling, right? So I've had my daughter come to me and say, you know, may I talk with you? Whenever she takes that tone of voice, I get nervous, right? But she's my, arbiter of truth. She's the one that like brings me back into alignment. And she's like, you know, this happened earlier and you said da 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 da. And that's not, I didn't think that was fair. That's a hard one for me because I am a control freak. But I value the fact that she feels comfortable coming to tell me that so much that I have to suck it up and hear what she has to say. And I let her explain to me. And I said, I didn't have all the information and I didn't realize that. So give me a minute to kind of talk that through with myself and I'll be back with you. And my son does the same thing. They can both come to me and tell me absolutely everything. And because I set that up, they do. And they are even surprised sometimes. So they're like, why did I even come and just tell you all that? And I'm like, hopefully because I've set the environment for that. And I think that we need to set that environment with spouses. And we need to set that environment with boss and employees. Yeah. That your employees can come and talk to you. Your workers can come and talk with you. Your team members, your spouse can come and talk to you. And it's a safe place as long as there's no swearing, no name calling, no storming out, and you're being respectful. Yeah. You know? So the communication program that I designed was deep in me to have that out because it was so valuable for anybody. You know, I've taught it at businesses. I've gone and taught where they've brought staff in as a staff meeting and staff lunch, and we've talked about it there, and just talked about hearing one another and knowing that everybody hears and talks differently. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's got to be hard because, like, I don't have kids, but I've had employees, I've had soldiers, I've had relationships, and just, you know, being able to set that environment and kind of those boundaries you talked about. Exactly. I can just imagine, like, with your kids, it has to be difficult, but it sounds like it works.
It has worked. It has worked. I've been a single mom since they were 4 and 2, and it was hard in the beginning, but then you just have to set an environment where they can talk to you about things and you can talk to them about things. But it's because I've created a safe space for them. And that's really important. And your employees should have an ability to come in and say, I really felt like maybe this didn't go, and not to, as the boss, just be like, well, I'm in charge and that's how it is.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes, like I said, the answers are going to be one or the other. I'm sorry, I didn't know everything, or sorry, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You have that option as the boss, as the parent, to say those things, but you have to be able to give them the chance to talk with you.
Definitely.
So,
that's really cool.
Thank you.
So if you don't mind, before we move into the next segment, I'm just going to talk a little bit. I told you before the show. So, folks, we're starting a question and answer segment tonight because we just started it. We don't actually have any questions from the audience or from our viewers to answer, but feel free. You can send us a message on Facebook. You can send us an email, welcome@businessandbrewshow.com. And we'll be sure to include those questions in these segments. If you know who our upcoming guest is and what the industry is going to be, what industry is going to be on the show, then you can feel free to ask specific questions to that industry. But between us and the guests we've had on, we're confident that we can, get you whatever answer you're looking for. We also have a group that we have our guests join on Facebook. So
Awesome.
We have a permanent line of communication with those people. And Gevin and I have been involved in plenty of different business ventures to know and understand the workings of it. So please feel free to ask your questions. We're going to have that question and answer session, and hopefully sometime in the future it'll be live, and then people will be calling in, and we'll have a good time. We'll have us, we'll have the guests, and we'll have the caller.
That sounds great.
I don't think I mentioned this before, but I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
It's kind of what fuels this. We thought when we first started that it was going to be a lot more difficult to get people in different industries. Gevin is in real estate, and it turns out that everyone is in real estate. So I was a little nervous about that at first, but I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come over here and sit down and talk with us.
Oh, I appreciate it.
So Kim, the next segment is 3 questions that we've had brewing. And the first one that I like to ask is, what do you like when you're not parenting, coaching, and wellness coaching? What do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? First and foremost, I try to spend as much time with my kids as I can, because they're grown adults now. Like I said, 20 and 19, so they're hard to narrow down to a schedule. We all work very different schedules, but so we try to do dinner a couple nights a week and spend some time with them. And then, like I mentioned before, I have 2 volunteer projects that I do. One of which is called blessingher.com, and it is a project where we provide feminine hygiene products to the ladies that are homeless in Raleigh and Durham. We have an outreach ministry from our church that I provide these things to them, and they distribute them each week. And it's something that I think, us as women, we kind of take for granted that it's something we just always have available, and it really is truly a need. And so it really was on my heart a couple weeks ago, and like I mentioned, diving in head first, I just went, boom, what am I going to call it? What's the name? I got to get the website, set up an Amazon link, and set up a PayPal link, and that way anybody could just jump in and help. Yeah. And my front doorstep has been overwhelmed with Amazon boxes, and I'm so grateful.
Nice.
Because people have just been able to go on, pick 1 or 2 things, $5, $20, whatever, and send it, and I am able to do a full bag of things for only $4 a piece.
Nice.
And so it's been really neat to do that. And then I know your connection with the military.
Yeah.
We have family in the military. My ex was in the military. I work with a group called the Soldiers Angels, and we do boxes to care packages to active duty soldiers. And so it's been a really neat thing for me to be able to give back. Wholly, completely support the military and love everything that they stand for, and the fact that they just are so giving and so gracious. I'm so grateful for my brother-in-law. Has done many tours in the Middle East, and is still continuing to serve in the Army, and it makes us so proud of his hard work. And so it's a fun thing for me to be able to give back. So I don't have a lot of downtime, but when I do, I'm all about like brain candy. So Hulu, you know, Bravo shows, just caught up on Damages. Finally, I know it's been off for like 3 years, but finally got caught up on it. So, but I'm kind of a work 20 out of 24 hours a day kind of person. So
cool. I like it. I feel like that sometimes too.
Yes.
So I think it works.
I think
out.
entrepreneurs in general are like that, right? We're just always thinking and moving and processing. You have to be really creative, I think, to be an entrepreneur. And so, yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. So the next question is, sorry, I lost my place there for a second, but what content are you currently consuming?
Well, a lot of Gary Vee.
Nice.
I mean, I think anybody that's in business right now is following and listening to what he's putting out there. I think that a lot of his inspiration, although, I can hardly get past all the language. I mean, let's be honest. Come on. But when I do get past that, I enjoy so much that he is teaching what I was talking about earlier, and that is value content, right? Not just putting out what you yourself feel like the public needs, but seeing what they want and really providing that, and providing it in many different ways. And I love, he was just talking yesterday on one that I saw about how he even started doing comic strips for adults, even if he was doing it for kids, right? He's got a kid comic line also, but he started doing them for adults because he found people were reading it and it was catching their eye, and it was, kind of, they're consuming that content. Yeah. And so I think he's a great source of information, inspiration, and motivation, if we're gonna be
definitely
too literal, about that. But so yeah, a lot of Gary Vee, taking in a lot of that.
That's cool. Yeah, he has a new YouTube channel that has no cussing on it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if they censor it or what, but I think it's his focus there is children. I think so they can watch his show and not have to take any cuss words.
I just find myself constantly having to turn the volume down. My dad's a pastor, my mom's a teacher, and so when I'm around them, I've got to turn it down. But Google's your mother is probably my number one favorite line that he's used, because he's trying to convince this kid to stop relying on his parents for everything. And he says, Google is your mother now. Google is your mother now. I had to teach it to my own parents because they started staying with me for a short time here. And they're constantly wanting help with every kind of technology in our household. And I'm like, Google's your mother now. Google's your mother now. So very appropriate. But if you ever see that video, it's a great one of his.
That's awesome. So the last question, Kim, of course, is if somebody has questions or wants to know about you or your business or some general advice to get into the industry or help with their own children or their own personal wellness and growth, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach out?
Thank you. Well, you can always find me on Facebook and Instagram under Ms. Kim Talks, MSKIMTALKS. I also have a website, MsKimTalks.com, where you can purchase some of the programs that I talked about. I have the Speak How They Hear, which is just a 1 hour, super easy to watch online program. There's a 30-minute No More Bedtime Battles that's on there. And then 2 of my main coaching things, which are a 4-week and an 8-week parenting program, where they do 1 hour live with me each week. And they have things to work on with their family, and then we do a check-in at the end of the week. And that is one of my most popular things that I do with families, because it's easy for them, and it's something where I literally hand them information, they go do it, and then they come back and say, okay, that didn't work, or that did work. And then I go, all right, let's try it this way. And then I give them another piece of information. And so those are all on MsKimTalks.com. Again, also on Facebook, you can find my Facebook page, Ms. Kim Talks, and Instagram, Pinterest even. Nice. And so, it's my crowd. So I got the Pinterest crowd. So, but yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thanks so much again.
Thank you.
I would like to reiterate to our audience, if you found any value in this episode, any previous episode, Whether you want to get into the industry, you find value in Miss Kim or the guests we have on, or you just want to follow along, please subscribe, follow, hit the like button, share the videos with your friends. In case you don't know, we are also live on YouTube, and we post the edited version Mondays by 2 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube as well. And the audio is always available on every major podcast platform. We use Anchor for that, so we're on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, and 6 or 8 different other ones that I can't even remember. The number one goal here is to spotlight the people in different industries. So hopefully we can bring everyone together, whether someone wants to get in business in general or wants to do it exactly what you do. Hopefully this conversation has shed a little light on that for them, and of course hopefully gets us all some new connections. So I definitely appreciate you being on here.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was I enjoyed it, and enjoyed the show last week with Pulse FM. Learned some stuff from them, and learned some things from you when I first came in, talking about the technology and things. And so I appreciate you having me on. I know was something different for you, right? Definitely. A parenting coach, who knew? But there's a lot for us to learn. So
that's cool. So in case you guys aren't aware, we have that question answer segment, and now we have a brand new one that's going to take place as soon as I kill the live feeds. We call that the Aftershow. So if you want to see the Aftershow, you're going to have to watch the recorded version later, and that's a little more casual conversation between Kim and I, where I think I'm going to ask her a few more specific, in-depth questions about the business. But I do appreciate you guys. Please, in the comments, once again, wish Gevin a get well soon. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. My name is Ryan Smeltz. This is Kim with Miss Kim Talks. And you all have a wonderful day. We'll see you next week. Thing I need to change, and that's in the description of the video I put live now with an asterisk, and so I take that off once we kill the live feed. I'm curious why we weren't live though. It says we streamed for 36 minutes. And so I don't know if you know this, but the reason, so it shows 14 minutes. I don't know what killed it. But at least we got 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Embed, download, edit. So I'm going to edit this, and then the title. And save. I just do that. I don't leave our live videos up on Facebook. You can't actually monetize the live ones.
Interesting.
So I don't, because our channel is monetizing. I'll put much more focus on the recorded versions. But yeah. Have you ever heard of Herb Cohen?
No.
So he is the author of You Can Negotiate Anything.
I like that.
And what you said that reminded me of him was when you were talking about emotions and not getting emotionally invested. And so the reason, he's like one of the world's top negotiators. He's negotiated for the CIA, for presidents, this, that, and the third. And he basically said one of the reasons is he's so good is because he can negotiate on your behalf, no problem. But if it was him, then he wouldn't be able to do it. So it kind of reminded me of you, because if you're talking to someone else's kids, and showing them that it's much easier because you're not as emotionally invested.
Exactly. Oh, it's so much easier when it's somebody else's kids. And people used to tell me, parents would tell me all the time, I told my kid last night I was going to call Miss Kim tomorrow because he didn't help. He didn't do his dishes. He didn't do this, whatever. And I'm like, you're in charge at home. I promise you're in charge at home. And they're like, I know, but they listen to you more. I'm like, I know, but my whole job is to teach you how to be the one in charge. And so, but if I can set an example, go for it.
Another thing you remind me of was a book. I can't remember what it's called. 92 Ways or something. 92 How to Talk to Anyone.
Oh.
92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships.
All right.
I was listening to this, and some of the reviews. So the biggest difference between this and other books I've read, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, is that this actually tells you exactly what to say.
Nice.
And so some people that left reviews didn't really like that.
Right.
I do. I will tell you, I mostly listen to audiobooks in my car while I'm driving, and I don't think this is one of those books.
Okay. This
because
is a take notes kind of.
Yeah, I feel like I want to write some of the stuff down, and I can't do that while I'm driving.
No, I look forward to checking it out. I think that's great. It's like I said, I also own a wellness business and work with about 600 families and have a team, and you really do have to learn how to talk with different people. Yeah. And that's why that one program, Speak How They Hear, has been so valuable. My brother watched it as he's been dating a young lady and then just got engaged. And he's like, I learned so much from this. And he's just a 28-year-old bachelor. So it's not like somebody who needed to learn about parenting. And he's like, but I learned so much about being, clear, confident, consistent. And so things like that. I love to take in information on how to, teach people and how myself to learn how to address different people. So that's great. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So those were the two you remind me of.
Yeah.
I had a question. You've got like 1,200 Facebook followers or something. So did you run ads or were you just consistent?
It was a little of both. I ran some ads in the beginning, but it was mostly I set up a couple of just funny posts that went really far, and that helped create an audience for me. Right. And then also I just kept consistently posting and reaching out, posting on like the Raleigh Community Information page, the Apex, the Cary information pages, things like that. I had a couple of the moms' Facebook pages will let me post things on there, and so but it was mostly, and I'll show you the one because it went a little bananas. It was talking about the school supply list that you get at the beginning of the school year. Yep. It's more like a scavenger hunt, that the teachers put the parents through. Yep. And it went bananas. Like everybody absolutely loved it. And so that, once people started liking it, then I just went and invited them to the page, and influx of people came through. And so,
But it's good because that's relevant.
Exactly. It was something, it was right before school started. All the parents were all at Target, doing this, and it was very relevant for the time. And then, again, it's all about what does your audience want to hear? What are they going to learn most from? I did a live for a little bit, and that was good, but I found that more of my recorded videos were the ones that I was getting more views on. I mean, I've got one that's called Clean Clothes, Dirty Clothes, Trash, and Toys, and that's how I teach kids how to clean their room. Works for adults too, right? Clean clothes, dirty clothes, trash, and toys, right? So get all the clean clothes put away, put all the dirty clothes in the hamper, throw away all the trash, and then all the toys is like our social, our iPad, our phone, paperwork, mail, things like that. And that one has like 8,000 views because it just went quickly and started spreading. And so, yes, there have been some ads, not as much as, because I wanted to gain a really organic audience. Yeah. And so like I said, it's been a little of both.
So, I like the way you're doing it to get those quality people. It sounds like you have the views, so you could actually, once you get over 10,000 followers, you can monetize your channel.
And that's what I'm definitely looking to do, is get more people following the page. And
so I would just consider running an ad, because you've had your audience long enough that you know who your target audience is.
Yes.
So if you, unlike me, when I originally ran an ad, the Business and Brews page wasn't even Business and Brews way back. So the followers that are on there aren't even barely relevant to what we're doing now. Which is good and bad at the same time. The volume allows us to monetize. The quality just means we're not getting the potential percentage views per video or the length that we could be getting if it was relevant. So we're actually running another one now, but you would be able to make your dollar more effective because you know exactly who you're looking for.
Yes.
So you set up that ad and run it. Of course, minimum budget on Facebook is $1 a day. To get you closer to 10,000, because I think if you're putting out content that's relevant to the audience that you have, why not let other people see it?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's definitely my current goal is to build the audience on that page, and
Facebook is a lot easier than most other platforms.
Yes, it is, and it's difficult and easy all at the same time, right? And so I appreciated. I have actually spoken with somebody in the Facebook advertising department and just said, look, just give me the inside scoop. Tell me what do you want to see? What kind of content do you want me posting? And how do I build it? So that I got it directly from them. Yeah. And that was a very insightful for me. They showed me how to go in through that, the ad manager and really narrow down the audience and do like a lookalike audience to things that have gone well, like that one, the one post that I did and things like that.
Do you know what Facebook Blueprint is?
I've seen that. I haven't gone into it too much yet.
That's just everything you're talking about, but up to date. It's
okay.
And if anybody, you can just learn for free from Facebook. That's what Facebook Blueprint is. It's their academy. Now, if you want to get certified to take the exam, you have to pay. But you can learn for free. So if you're in there working, and then what I do a lot of times too is I'll get stuck and I just go into the help and then chat with them.
Yes.
So Facebook Blueprint though, they have all the courses, so they cover all that stuff.
Nice.
And you'd be like, oh, how do you do this?
Right. When I first started, really going into Miss Kim Talks, I had 2 monitors and I would sit with the Pinterest page open and information, Pinterest, overload, information over here, learning and learning and learning. And as she was teaching about it, I was doing it. And she would teach about it and I would do it. She'd teach about it, I would do it. I could not take in enough information.
You sound like me.
It just, that's how I was learning. Yeah, learn it, do it. Learn it, do it. Learn it, do it. And then I moved on and I was like, okay, I found somebody that was really good on Instagram and started doing all of their programs. And, a lot of them, you can do classes for $17, $27 or whatever. You don't have to spend a fortune. Yeah. Really,
Udemy.
It's exactly, yeah. And so I will literally watch it and then do it and watch it and do it, watch it, do it. And that is how I built, the website, the this, the that, the Instagram, all those. Nice. I built them all by doing that. And so
you're talking about your website. Facebook followers. You have courses on there, and so I do courses, but they're like on Udemy and stuff. So the courses on your website, what are they hosted through?
I was doing Kajabi for a while, but it's just so darn expensive. But it's so easy. So it's really tricky. Like if you have the income coming in, then it's worth it. And if you don't, then you have to find other ways around it. And so when I didn't have the finances, literally people would purchase the program and I would send them a YouTube link, try to do whatever I could to have it be unlisted and things like that. I've also done some stuff on Vimeo where I could have a password on it And so both of those have been helpful. But my website itself is done through GoDaddy. And I mean, talk about plug and play, simple. Just, loaded everything in it. Boom, professional website done. And, it was really important to me to like buy the domain names in the beginning, like establish, because it made me go, I'm really doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes when we do, like I said, we do things halfway, even subconsciously, like we're not doing it. We're not going to just like go all in. I have to tell my kids every day, Miss Kim Talks is working. Miss Kim Talks is working. Miss Kim Talks is working. And I went in and I bought like all the domain names and then just started building websites. The Blessing Her project, I did it in a day. I was like, design the logo, design the website, set up the Amazon, set up the PayPal, boom, done in a day. Because I just know that's how I work. And so I think that, like I said, GoDaddy's been an easy one for me. I even talk to the guys at GoDaddy because I take whatever free help I can get, right?
Absolutely.
So I talked with them for like an hour and a half one night and said, look, I can't get this to work, whatever. They were guiding me through. And I asked the guy, look, should I do like the WordPress instead? Because I wanted to move some stuff around. And he said, I'll be honest with you. I am like tech support for that. And he goes, I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And I go, that's not encouraging at all. And he goes, yeah, I would just stick with what you've got. Looks good, looks professional. It's simple and easy to use. He's like, if you want to get more complicated later, that's different. And I was like,
I was just curious of the courses because I tried my own course hosting. Mm-hmm. That was challenging. Then I tried, I tried Hackway. I tried a subscription way. And so then the other thing I ran into, eventually I put my first course, I think right now it's my only one published, on Udemy. Well, Udemy, it doesn't matter. I noticed on there a lot of these courses are listed for $300, $400, and they're selling them for $11.99 or $19.99. So Udemy controls the pricing. And so I was like, well, if that's the case, so I think mine's listed on there for maybe $40 or $50.
Right.
And that's why, because it's never going to sell for anything that Udemy doesn't want it to sell for.
Right.
So I'm fine with that.
Interesting.
So in my first course, if you saw it, you're like, what is this guy doing anyway? But yeah, I was curious because if I put out, so I do Shopify, and anybody that sells products online is either going to recommend Shopify or find out that they should be recommending Shopify because it's just like you talked about, super easy.
Yeah.
All in one place.
You have to, and Shopify is less expensive than Kajabi is. Again, I liked Kajabi. It was professional. It had a great setup. I was able to, able to see course progress for individuals that purchased my courses. So I could send them.
Spell it?
It's Kajabi.
So this is not just course hosting, but it's a website.
It is. Well, what they do is it's kind of all in one. So they give you a website template that you then set up your courses on. And so and they do a lot more than just that. I wouldn't doubt they probably have a Shopify plugin. Because Shopify, probably so. Or app. Shopify uses apps. So Shopify is good for products, like things you can touch, because you have courses. Right.
I would never turn someone away from Shopify because I know it. So if somebody asks me a question, I can answer it. But I wouldn't recommend it for someone that doesn't have a tangible product because there's a whole new path you would have to take there. Well,
and I think that as you start to expand and you get into, like, I want to have T-shirts that say, you're in charge, because parents don't remember that often. And I've got, Miss Kim Talks logo, like a silhouette and stuff. And so I would like to start doing those things on Shopify. But for the courses, I've looked into doing it on Teachable, on, doing it on the Kajabi. Like I said, Kajabi was very professional. I liked that I could see the course progress for each course that somebody had purchased, because then as they're finishing a course, I can automatically then send them an email that says, I hope you've enjoyed this course. Here are some other ideas that you can go from here, or would you like to set up, one-on-one coaching with me? And so, yeah.
That's cool. So this is what I use. This is Printful. And so this is what I use to drop ship print-on-demand products. Mm-hmm. So if you go to my website and you click here on the merchandise, if somebody orders something, there we go. If somebody orders something from here, until I get rolling and figure out what works, this place receives the order, prints the product, ships it to the customer, collects some money.
I like that idea. I've heard of this.
And then you can now...
it was Printful, right?
Yeah, Printful is the one that I use. Gunter? I'll have to ask my buddy John, but he has another one he recommends. So print-on-demand drop shipping is a thing that lots of places offer. Now, Printful, I think, is the best for an integration with Shopify. But you see, I pick the color, I put it up there, and it auto-formats all this stuff for me. This stuff is really easy for me to handle anyways.
Right.
Because I know Shopify. But for somebody who doesn't know Shopify, you can actually go into Printful, build a product, choose the colors. Now, I had to pay somebody for the design because I have Illustrator. I'm not going to sit there and screw with it. So I was like, here's some money. Give me 20 designs. Exactly. And then I put those on anything. So I really like it. Cool. It's easy to use. Like I said, I don't have to. So the hardest part is I want to write these descriptions where they're SEO focused. And then that way I want to start moving products organically until I run ads, because I have spent hundreds of dollars on ads first and had missing pieces. Yes. That was causing me to not make sales.
Tell me that is not like one of the most frustrating things about starting any business is you want to run this, but you can't run this until you have this. And then you don't want to post pins on Pinterest if I don't have a connection to it. And then Pinterest wants you to have blogs, and then then I have to find where am I going to do the blogs at? Okay, and then I have to start doing the blogs, and then I have to meanwhile. And so I found that literally I was sitting down and I was like writing a map, and I was like, okay, I need this, and this. This has to come here first, and then it has to go here. Oh, but I need to make sure I have this. And so it made it can very, very, very much frustrate someone when you have that kind of stuff. And so, because you don't want to go and launch a website that doesn't have links that are working. You don't want to go and launch a website that has, I don't have any blog posts, but I've got pins on Pinterest or whatever. That's so incredibly frustrating. And so it was something that I had to kind of get as many ducks as I could before I put them in a row, and then now I can go. And I'm a drop and go kind of person, so that was difficult.
So you would like this. This is let's do this one. This is a whiteboard for your computer.
Oh, I like that idea. So, my room will look less like Beautiful Mind with Post-it notes all over posters on the wall.
So this is called Miro.
Oh, I like that.
And it adds an example. Yeah. You can build it from scratch. And then you can just go idea here, and then you hit the tab and it adds another bubble, and you can change the color, and you can click there, and you can move it around, and then you can build your mind map.
Yeah.
And then do it.
Oh, I like that.
And to do this is free.
Yes.
I think they charge you if you add more users or enterprise or something like that. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Found that during the last little venture we were running out of Durham building something. So that was very helpful.
It is helpful because you literally, I would just have to sit and lay it all out and try to figure out what went where, and so frustrating.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
And I've got plenty of pieces of paper with all these ideas, and then they just end up in that box.
Yes,
over there.
Exactly.
I'm like, all right, cool.
I'm all about Post-it notes. I sit down and I'll do a brain dump of, these are all the things that parents have asked me this week, right? And so then I'll just Post-it notes across the page, and I'll just start making notes, what people have asked me. And then from there, pull out, let's say 3 or 4 for this week. Okay, that's where I'm going to build the content on.
Yep.
And then start to put that out. But then you have to see what those people are looking at. And,
Yeah.
so it takes a lot of work. It's not, to do it right, takes work.
Definitely.
I can do it halfway, but I'm not a halfway kind of person. So I want to know as much as I can, as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
I'm also very impatient, which is why, like I said, I'll run the video over here and do it here at the same time.
That's one reason. I mean, this might be getting off track a little bit. That's one reason I asked you about your followers, because even if you look at like local businesses like a mom and pop brick and mortar store, they have 300 followers. Like, that could be all their customers,
right? And
like, that's perfect.
Yes.
Like, that'll keep them in business forever.
Exactly.
But so to see someone like you who has a substantial following, and it's like, I built this primarily organically.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, okay, what's working? What's not working? What can people implement to make it work before they actually need to start paying? Because I don't know that you would really need to pay for advertising until you try to at least go statewide. In your local community, there's too much word of mouth for you to have to pay for advertising.
It's true. Like I said, I found that by creating some posts that, you have friends and family share it. You're like, hey, look, can you share this on your page? Can you like this, follow this? And then from there, anytime somebody liked it, I clicked on that and saw who had liked it, and then invited them to the page. Yeah. They liked this, I invited them to the page. Now, I've probably invited, 4,000 people on that 8,000, view video. But I maybe got 1,000 people from it. But still, I got 1,000 people from it.
But I think the content was relevant, and that's important.
Absolutely.
Because I've run content on pages that I have that wasn't relevant to the page or the audience and got a ton of engagement. And then I invite people to like the page, and they're probably going, no, because I like that post.
Right.
But I look at your page and it has nothing to do with that post. It has nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
So that's where I was failing from an organic standpoint.
Yes. Yeah. You have to be providing the content that your audience wants.
Definitely.
And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from Gary Vee.
Nice.
Is, content everywhere, content all day, content, but what people are looking for. What value